All right, we're live.
Hi.
Hi, welcome to Insomniacs in the Morning. I'm Ryan, and this is Maddie.
Hi, I'm Maddie, and this is Insomniacs in the Morning, a
Whoa.
show for
Okay, I really
for
love,
Insomniacs by Insomniacs.
like,
What's
really,
up?
this week is really, we're living up to the name.
hmm Well, I screwed up. I should have gone to bed earlier, but I was
Okay,
excited
yeah,
about
me too.
GENO, so I couldn't go to bed.
I did make myself go to bed, and then apparently you messaged me again, like, after 1 a.m., being like, wait, excuse me, what do we need more footage for? And I was like, what?
I just like ignored the fact that you went to bed and continued to message you about GENO is basically what that was.
Yeah.
I just was like, oh yeah, Ryan went to bed. Anyway, continuing on with the topic.
Yeah, pretty much. That's exactly what happened. But the good news is that we are like pretty close to being done. I mean, I know we say that we've been working on this since like February because we
Like every
have
week
been.
we're like, it's really coming along, guys. It's really close.
Okay, but this is like the real deal because this morning, I don't know if you've checked your phone, but I messaged like literally everyone that's in
No,
the
I did.
production,
I saw.
and I said that it's sort of like in the post production phase where we're just fixing audio and like lighting levels. So
Yeah, I also have to finish that theme song.
yeah, but I mean, like those are like we're really close. And I was also thinking about like this morning. I'm like, why is it taken so long? You and I have made other things that we've put out since like we've shot Geno, right?
Well, one reason is that we've already said, and by the way, GENO is a sci-fi web series that we're making. If this is your first time on Insomniacs, we're making that.
Because it's how we start every episode. It's that
We just talk about GENO as though people know what it is, and they don't, but we do. And anyway, the reason why I think it's taken so long is just because we're really busy and it takes a lot of time to do anything. That's one reason.
I mean, sure, but I also was thinking about how I mean this has gone through various like recastings and even with the
And
cast
I'm
that we
sure
wind up
there
with,
will
like
be more because people,
probably,
you
but
know,
I
yeah.
was thinking about how everybody's schedules are so different, and like that was sort of the main problem. So, but
Mm-hmm.
I hope it's not like that if we get to episode 2. So that's how I feel. But I'm all excited. Maddie and I were trying to like I was like, we have to go to bed because we have this morning show we're doing tomorrow morning in the morning because it's a
I
morning
definitely
show.
forgot about that because we're doing the show on Thursday, which now we normally are doing the show on Fridays now, but we used to do it on Wednesdays. So really there's no normal with this show. We just kind of do it whatever day of the week in the
Yeah, it's
morning
my
that we
fault, guys.
can.
I had to schedule an appointment for my dog to go to the vet tomorrow. So
Oh.
yeah.
But basically though it means that I have no idea what day. I mean,
what day it even
this
is.
show just happens on a day. I don't know. It's
We
the
had
morning show. It's whatever morning we feel like having it be. But then that means that we have to remember to like try to organize our week around it. And
it's definitely weird because it's Thursday. It's raining out. I have lights on in here because it's so dark in the house. Because it's like dark storm clouds outside. And we
anyway,
were up late working on Geno, and you know, it's Thursday.
we're ready for the show.
Nobody cares about me. I just said it's Thursday and it's the morning like 10 times consecutively.
Guys,
nobody cares.
Thursday. Okay, so do we want to talk about workout tips? I at least have some this week. So.
I do, but I want to sort of I have first of all, have you done anything this past week besides Robot Nights, or are you even like I don't know where you are in that. Are you almost done?
Well, I don't know. Okay, so we still have to record some additional guitar parts and some bass parts, like
but
bass.
Are you like going
and vocals? And we just set up a bunch of studio sessions for that are going to be at the end of August and the beginning of September. But before that, we have some pre-production meetings with the studio to talk about bass parts because we don't normally have a bass in our band. It's just guitar, and drums, and I play bass parts on the guitar. But there's a lot of songs where it would be nice if we had additional bass just for the album. but that means we had to write bass parts, which is like boring. I mean, this is boring as fuck. I do you know what?
No, I was curious because
just
like
organizationally. So for the past couple weeks, I've been writing bass parts for the songs that could use additional bass and like running them by everyone and being like, okay, what do we think about these? Like, that's what I've been spending my time on. And it's just yet another time consuming part of recording an album that is not, you know, fun or interesting. It's just like, this is another thing that has to get done. I mean, that's where we are. And like, mostly I feel like this stuff, like, people don't realize how long everything takes, and I'm sorry. I don't know. Also, I have a whole lot of other boring shit to do, such as making a huge spreadsheet of all the t-shirts and posters that I have to mail.
So for those of you that are thinking about like doing a crowdfunding campaign, this is what it's like.
I mean, it's just a lot of work, and it's going to take me ages to do that, and this is all stuff that I'm like really not getting paid for. Like, the amount of money that we raised is going to barely cover.
Well, I guess my question for you was like, because I know when you were starting this, when you were recording everything, you were working on it like 3 days a week, like 3 nights a week or 4 nights a week. Are you still doing that right now? It's
gone down to like 2 nights a week, and that'll probably continue. There might be a couple weeks at the end of August where it goes back to 3 nights a week.
Okay.
It's Tuesday and Thursday nights now.
That sounds a lot more manageable than you screaming that you're working and stayed up until 3 a.m. every day.
I mean, yeah. Next week it's going to be 3 nights a week, though, because we have a pre-pro meeting. So I don't know. I'll probably be really cranky. I mean, it's just going to continue to be a thing. And like, the fact that it's a constant stress in my life and I'm thinking about it all the time, I think is.
But it's like the main thing you're doing, because I know you haven't really done too much. I mean, you said hang out with some people, which is awesome. But
I have hung out with some people, and I also like made the GENO theme song. I'm pretty fucking pumped that I even made the GENO theme song.
Okay, I'm really pumped about that too. That was like so great. It's like I think we talked about it last week.
We did. I'm just proud of myself for even doing it, because in retrospect, I can't believe I did. But whatever. Yeah. Also, we hung out with people. I don't know if we even want to talk about that. But
we don't need to. But I'm going to see you this weekend, so that will get you a good start to.
Is that still happening?
Yeah,
because I'm pretty sure that you and me are the only people hanging out.
It doesn't matter.
Get ready to hang out with me.
Who cares?
Okay, we were gonna have a party, but I don't know. I mean,
I'm gonna be up there anyway, so it doesn't. Like, I got to see my family, so.
Okay.
So I am actually going up today, hopefully, if it stops raining, to shoot this Airbnb house for this like house on the water. So if you guys if anybody listening needs somebody to shoot their Airbnb and lives in the New England area, let me know, because I've started to make sort of like a mini career out of this, because this is the second one I'm doing. But I'm really excited about it, and hope it's also the same place we're going to be staying in about a month from now. And I can finally announce the thing that I've been secretly saying for the past 2 weeks that I couldn't say anything about. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Tell me what it is. I don't know.
So
I never bothered to even ask you. I should have.
So I'm sort of getting involved with like this new haunted productions company, because for anybody who doesn't know, like I do haunted houses like professionally, and I've been working with this one company for 8 years, but a lot of us like sort of parted ways this past year, and 2 of the people started this new company, and they are not going to have a new haunt for 2016 because they're building it. But basically, they're getting the word out that they have this new haunt, and they're doing this like sort of escape a room attraction that is really interesting because it's horror themed, and you have to escape a room in like obviously a certain amount of time before the killer comes back. But the whole thing is like collapsible, so like the whole thing can be built and is transportable to different events and stuff. And we're teaming up with Felicia's event Heady, which is what I always shoot, and we're doing this like 2-night adventure in October on the 7th and 8th. So it's going to be in New Haven, and you can come and like dance, and like it's going to be everybody's going to be dressed up as like monsters and zombies for 2 nights, and we're going to have like this whole escape room thing going and people jumping out and scaring people. It's going to be awesome. So we're working with a couple bars. I'm really pumped about it, actually. I mean, it's not a traditional haunt, But I'm kind of looking forward to having a year off from not having to scream every weekend and doing this like 2-day event instead. So like I'm really into it.
That sounds pretty sweet, except that's like so far away. So what are you gonna do for Halloween this year? Just hang
that's something I hope people talk about this weekend when we see it. But like dress up as Powerline from a Goofy movie. I don't know.
We've already been talking about Halloween together anyway because we're obsessed with Halloween. But yeah, no, that's really cool, and I'm glad that you have a new place to work next year. It's too bad.
Yeah, I mean, technically,
it didn't work out this year, but whatever.
They already like essentially hired me like once when they started this new thing, and I'm going to be at Horrorfest, which is in Connecticut on August 27th, working with them, and I can't say in what capacity because that's a surprise. So if you live in the area, come up to Horrorfest if you want to be scared by me.
Okay, that sounds good.
And I shot Heady this past weekend again. You can see pictures of it up on our Atomic Blue social media page, so you should check it out. Lots of DJs, lots of fun stuff. I really feel like I killed it this past weekend.
Yeah, that's the EDM event that you were talking about on last week's show that you were saying.
I know. You were like, going to jump into workout tips. And I'm like, hold on. I actually did things this week. Surprise.
I did, but they're just like nothing that's worth talking about.
You hung out with a lot of people that I really like, so that's cool.
It's true. I saw Mary Ellen, the famed Mary Ellen.
It's true.
She went to see Suicide Squad with me, and then I had to review it for work the next day. So
which is what we're about to get to. So let's jump right into
workout
tips, because I don't know, we're like not with it this morning. This is really.
Look, I did not sleep, so
I didn't either. I had a dream, by the way, where I went to Six Flags.
Let's not get to workout tips. Let's talk about your dream.
No, it's just like you have those dreams that are like so stupid. And first of all, it's like I barely sleep. And so I haven't had any like cognitive dreaming in like a while because I've been like not really sleeping well. So I did sleep a little bit, like for a couple hours at least. And I had this dream where we went to Six Flags, but we were like going there specifically for the water park, but the water park was closed by the time we got there, but then it was secretly open. So then like we were really mad about
something that would happen.
I know, but then we had to like crawl through like a pirate ship to like go on a slide that doesn't even go down. It was like a water slide that goes up.
That sounds
into the lazy river. So that was fun.
I love the water park at Six Flags.
I remember everybody being so angry and like being like, we shouldn't even be like we shouldn't even
that
be here.
Also sounds incredibly accurate.
We shouldn't even be friends anymore.
Oh, that doesn't. All right. Okay. Workout tips. Tip. Do you want to go first or should I? I can go first.
Sure.
If you want. Okay, so I have been doing band practice on Tuesday, Thursday, but I've been doing a pretty good job of working out after work on the other days that I don't have band practice. Like last night, actually, I worked out and then came home and started talking to Ryan about GENO.
As usual. By the way, we should clarify that was like that before we were shooting a pilot. So
it was, but normally I would have just talked to you about it for 4 hours instead of working out for a couple hours first. So like what I've been doing is basically waiting until it gets dark and then going to the track, because I've just accepted that I'm never going to be able to wake up early and work out before work. And I hate that that's not the case, because I would really rather do that. Because after work, I don't really want to go work out. I just don't.
No, nobody does. I mean, that's sort of the tough part. You gotta make yourself do it.
I just want to get it out of the way, and then usually, if I work out before work, I feel really good for the rest of the day. But I can't do it. I just can't do it, and I don't know why I'm so hard on myself for not being able to do it. So I've decided to just be at peace with it and just start working out at like 8 p.m.
Okay, so what's the workout tip? Because you just like listed that off for a minute.
Well, I mean, part of it was like, wait until it's not hot anymore. Go at night, and like that's fine. The lights are on at the track. But the other thing is that I've been running up and down the stairs at the track. I don't know if you mean
like the bleachers? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Have you ever done that before?
Yeah.
So like I go around the track and then like I'll stop at the little gateway and then run up and down the stairs 6 times. Okay. And like you can do interval training if you want, too. Like you can like run up 3 flights and then walk
That's a good
down.
tip. I don't know why we never thought about that, because I do that all the time, is run up and down stairs.
Yeah, and like the other reason why it's good, and like you could just go there and just run up and down the stairs at the bleachers, because I like going to the track because it gets me out of the house, but just running really isn't. You shouldn't only be doing one kind of aerobic exercise. It's a lot of pressure on your ankles and knees, and like ideally you're doing multiple kinds. And so running up and down stairs is going to work out other parts of your body. It's still concrete, so I'm not like advocating it. I have really good running shoes, so
Yeah, I mean, I think we keep saying this, but the key is to like never do anything for too long, even though like that seems like what you should do when you're at the gym, but really it's not. It's not good for your body. You're just doing things to tone yourself up. And
yeah,
like,
so that's a tip. But like my real tip is actually just work out at night. Like especially if you're like me and you keep trying to wake up really early, just like
also,
stop trying, honestly. Like just work
in
out
the
at night.
summer, like that's
Yeah.
my favorite time to go outside, is nighttime.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't sleep. I mean, there's that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I just saw my mom the other day, and she was like, so, you know, I know you've been working out at night, but, like, don't work out in the middle of the night, because when I was in college, I used to go for runs at 1 a.m, and it was really stupid, and I'm surprised nothing bad ever happened to me, and I was like, wow, Mom, 1 a.m, and she was like, you know, college, it was crazy, and I'm like, I don't know who you are.
That is your mom, though. It's, like, totally your mom. I also love that she, like, was like, so anyway, you have this fun trait from me.
Yeah, I just like thought it was funny that she brought it up, but like, yeah, I mean, I've been going at 9 or 10, and there's still a lot of people at the track when I go, and there's also lights. Like, I keep talking about the track. It's at a school. Oh, here's another tip. I had a lure, and there's a Pokestop at the school that's next to the track that I go to. So since I was already going for a run for half an hour, I just put the lure up, and in between every interval, I would catch Pokemon. That's pretty smart.
I actually do a lot of that too. Lately, I've been doing like Smash Brothers in between like stuff. So like, you know,
well,
like,
if you're working out at home, you could do that.
Yeah, sure, but you know, like sometimes
I wouldn't be able to do that. I just bring my entire setup to the track. And I'm like, listen,
sometimes that helps with working out, though. Is like, I mean, I do it between working too, but like. One of the things I loved about MMOs is that it would work out on the loading screens, and I still, even though they're too fast now, like I'll be like, okay, I finished this thing. Now I have to like do a set of something. So, anyway, my workout tip is about sort of like ab toning a little bit, which is something I talk about a lot on here. But there's these 4 sort of like holds that I used to do that I haven't done in a long time, but started doing them again the other day. Where you, I think we talked about one of these once, where you like basically get down on all 4s on the ground and you like hold yourself with your fists like this together down on the ground, and you like arch your body up. So like all your ab muscles are like sort of arched in a upside down U shape. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can hold that for a period of time. And then I do another 2 sets, but like on my side. So I'll be like, I'll put one elbow on the ground and then lift my like body up, so it's like I'm sideways and my toes are on the ground, and I put my arm up all the way, my other arm, and I just stretch upwards. And
I saw someone doing that on the side of the track the other day.
Yeah,
but I was like, "You are working out in public, sir." Like,
yeah, that's true, and it's both stretching your muscles, but it's also like, especially the side ones, you feel that in your side, and then the other one is where you
it's like a side plank, I think that's called. If it's what I think you're saying, it's like
it's
we've
sort of
talked
like
about
that.
Planks a whole lot on this show, which is like you're just in push-up position, but you don't do a push-up. You just stay there for a while. But then if you turn to your side and you put your hand in the air, that's like a side plank, and it's also a workout. Or you don't have to have your hand all the way out. You can do what Ryan described, which is have your elbow on the ground. That's like a position in and of itself. You just stay in that.
Yeah,
and you're working out your abs by just
and then the final one is where you sort of like, do you remember crab walking in like elementary school, where you like you basically stand like you're in The Exorcist, where you have your back hands on the ground, your feet out, and your like body's facing the ceiling. You do a lot of that, and you hold that position too, which you can also do it just that way, but you can also wrap your arms together like this, like the way that you were when you're on the ground. the first time for the first hold where you have your fists on the ground and put it underneath you. There's so many different ways you could do it, but basically it's those 4 positions where you have like one facing the ground, one facing the ceiling, and then like 2 on each side, because you're working out all your abs on that, and also stretching, which is good for you. So I don't know why I haven't done those in a long time, because they're super fucking easy for me to do.
Yeah, those are fun. And the first one that you were talking about, I think, if it's what I think you're talking about, I think it's the cat-cow yoga pose.
It probably is. I don't know.
I'm just writing it down in the show notes so that people can Google these things. Because if it's that, I have a lot of workout videos that recommend that. And it's like really good for an ab stretch. Like it stretches out your abs. So I know you recommended the side plank for an ab stretch, and that's probably because you're in really good shape.
Oh, it's not. I'm looking at it. It's not quite like that. It's
okay.
You stretch your legs out further behind you, so it's like you're almost completely like in a plank.
Okay, so it's like a plank, but you're still stretching. I feel like these are like workouts, like they're stretching your body out, but they're also going to really tire you out. So like
the longer you hold
doing
them,
these,
it was one of those ones my mom showed me like when I was much younger, when I first started working out, because my mom's a dance teacher, by the way, which Maddy knows, but like we
mentioned it on the show like every other week,
because obviously they want to like teach their dancers how to like have strong muscles, and that was one of them. So end. That's workout tips.
We gave a bunch this week, which is good, because last week we had no idea what
last week we like showed up, I screamed about ghosts, and then I was like, don't run too hard.
I'm sorry that we had no tips last week, but I really thought about it this week.
Yeah, me too.
Get a Pokemon lure. That's my tip.
We've like literally recommended Pokemon Go for like 5 different workouts now.
Well, I don't know.
It's a good workout. You're walking around, and hopefully when they fix things. Well, you know what? Let's get to that. Let's jump into the news.
Sure.
But we don't need to jump right into Pokemon. But I forgot that I wrote on the workout tips frog powers.
Wait, so we should do this again this week, because it worked really well last week. But if you still want to send us reader mail right now at insomniacsinthemorning@gmail.com, you can do it, and we'll read it in 15 minutes when we start that segment. But the question prompt that we had this week was, what's your favorite video game soundtrack?
Yeah,
so we will talk about that in a few minutes. So you should send us an email if you're sitting bored at work listening to our show live.
Yeah, and you're also like, oh, I want to tell these guys about my favorite video game soundtrack.
Of course you do. Tell us what it is. Okay, so anyway, news. Do you want to do Pokemon
you and I are
first?
like all over the place. Yeah.
Whatever. I was organized. That's what we did last week, and I did it this week. I killed it.
Wait, I didn't even hear what you said.
Okay. Well, the people listening to the audio only podcast can listen to it. I'm not going to say it twice. Jesus. All right. It was Metroid's 30th anniversary this week, which meant that a whole bunch of strangers were wishing me a happy birthday. This happens every year, and it's really funny and cute, because my birthday's in July, so it's like everybody's wishing me a happy birthday a month later.
That's funny, but also this is actually like a monumental time.
No, I know.
Instead of like 29.
It's just funny because I'm 30 as well. Like, I turned 30 and Metroid's 30, and like I'm the same age as Metroid. So every year when people wish me a happy birthday a month late, they're still almost right. It's just really funny to me. And
well,
anyway,
you're also like an
and I'm also
clone
Samus
of Samus,
real life. I mean, like, not to brag or whatever, but I am a clone of Samus. So
not to brag, I just look exactly like Samus, and I'm just as cool as her.
Oh, yeah, like as my red hair fades more and more, and my roots start to grow in, my blonde roots.
Okay, I don't want to dwell too much on every single subject, but I do want to ask, because it's Metroid's 30th, like,
yeah.
how did you get into Metroid? Because it's your favorite video game series.
Absolutely. Okay, so I've written about this before, and you know the answer to this, but I was in a relationship with somebody for 5 years while I was in high school, and then after he dumped me unexpectedly, I was like really, really depressed. And before that time, I was like really into shooters. I mean, you remember all of this because you knew me. And like, I was like really into Gears of War and Counter-Strike. And like, I had never actually played Metroid before. And I knew it existed, but I just was like, yeah, I'll get to that at some point. And so I was really depressed, and I was like 21 or something. something like that. And
Yeah.
and I was like, this is it. Like I'm living alone. This guy has just moved out. I'm a senior in college. I have a whole lot of free time and I need to spend it on something. So I played every Metroid game. And like those games are so great to play after a breakup.
You
And,
started
like,
with the Prime games though, right?
I did because I was like, Metroid Prime 3 had just come out when this happened, or yeah. That was like the time period this happened in. So I guess I could like Google it and figure out when that breakup happened. Someone else can do that if they're really obsessed with me. And like, so I got all the Metroid Primes and I played those, and I like, this was also the period of time when I finally allowed myself to start looking at walkthroughs online, because
yeah,
I
you
just
kind of
was
have
like,
to with those games.
I don't understand how to play this. Like, I need to look up walkthroughs. But that was actually also a really great phase of my life, because I stopped being so judgmental about myself and my own abilities. Like, I was like, you know what? It's actually fine if I use a walkthrough. Like, it's okay if I need a walkthrough to fucking beat Metroid. Like, I'm going to be okay.
I get it. I get like that aesthetic of wanting to figure it out yourself like you did when you were a kid. But like,
I was like,
those games are really hard.
Yeah, especially this was before the Wii U remakes of those games came out, which I have, by the way, and I was thinking about replaying them because, like,
you should.
Those
I
games
want
are great.
to. Let's
But,
do it at the same time in Skype.
Okay, come over and let's play them. That would be really fun. But the Wii, or I think it's actually Wii remakes, not Wii U. Who knows? Wii U, whatever time period they came out. There's remakes of the entire Metroid Prime series now that are actually playable, unlike the original ones, which are like impossible without a walkthrough, first of all, but also have like absurd platforming segments where you're like jumping around crazily and being like, I gotta avoid these purple balls.
Are you talking about
like,
the 2D ones, like the original Metroid, where you're
No,
jumping?
Metroid Prime. I'm talking about Metroid Prime.
Oh,
Have you
okay.
ever played those? Because they're
I played the first one. I mean,
okay, they're crazy, and I don't even know if I recommend them. Like, there's some insane platforming.
All the Metroid games are crazy and involve like platforming.
I always recommend Super Metroid to people because Super Metroid is just easier, frankly. Than
I was
going to
ask what your favorite Metroid was, and mine actually is Super Metroid. So
I might still say Metroid Prime, but it's only because it has such an emotional resonance with me. You know what I mean? Like, I usually list that first, even though it's a sort of controversial one to say, because people are like, well, what about Super Metroid? When you say the 2D Metroids are better? And I'm like, yeah, they're great. But Super Metroid was the first one I played, and I was so depressed, and like, it like literally got me through that time. Like, in such a real, visceral way, because I was like, Samus lives alone. She's on the spaceship. She works alone. Like, I can do this. Like, it sounds really corny, but those were things I was literally telling myself during that time period. Yeah. And I also made my first Samus cosplay, and I went to
Zero Suit Samus. I know.
Yeah, that was my first time cosplaying as Samus, was during that same year. So that was pretty cool too.
We actually, on the Atomic Blue Productions channel, I think one of the first, or maybe it was the second one, our first retrospectives Let's Plays we did, where we sort of like make drinks and like play old video games. We did the original Metroid, and we had to research all this stuff about
you guys
series.
Played the original one, right?
Yeah,
that one is so
really hard. But like, the whole point of that show that we do is that we like think about these games that we played when we were kids, and then go back and play them as adults with like a twist of a customized shot. But we have to talk about what we remember about the game. And I'm like, I remember it being very creepy. And like, of course I've played it a bunch recently before we did the show. So like, of course I remember stuff, but like when I think about a kid renting it from the video store, where you could rent things at a video store, in the 80s, I just remember being creepy and weird, and like for an 8-bit game, that was a lot. And they were sort of going for like really weird, like based on Alien. They were just like really going for this weird aesthetic.
And like, spoiler alert for later in the show when we do reader mail, but my favorite video game soundtracks are Metroid and Super Metroid. Like, to this day, I listen to those. Like, when I'm working.
Very creepy.
They help me concentrate though, because they're so like relaxing, but also like, you got to keep going. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's such a good beat. Workflow soundtrack, because I'm like, yeah, I'm exploring Zeebs. I'm catching stuff. I'm writing articles. Like, that's my shit.
Super Metroid also, like, just, it had that creepy story where, like, You
Oh,
show
it's
up to the
so
place and all the scientists are like dead or something, but you don't know what happened.
Okay, but okay, I could go on and on about how much I
yeah.
love the beginning of Super Metroid. It's like environmental storytelling. There's very little text in the game, but it's still revealing a story to you. It's like show don't tell. It's so good, and like video games need to learn a lesson from Super Metroid. I wrote a
And
huge essay
Metroid.
about that like
Yeah.
a couple years ago where I was like, all of these Metroid alike games don't mimic the parts of Metroid that I actually like, which is
Which are,
like
the strange storytelling mechanisms.
yeah, but there's also really clever stuff that happens in we're talking about this for way too long.
Yeah,
but
we
Metroid,
are.
why did you let me do this?
I don't know. It really should have been the throwback, and I didn't think about that until later. But like, it is Metroid's 30th birthday, aka your birthday, so we
And
have
you're
to
like,
talk about it.
Maddie, do you want to talk about Metroid for a second? And I'm like, how's 10 minutes sound? Okay, let's move on. I can't keep talking about
Happy
this.
birthday, Samus! Thank you for being the first female hero in video games.
Yay. Okay, so I went to see Suicide Squad.
Oh my god. Okay, so fun fact.
I don't want to talk
gonna
about
go
this too much yet because you haven't seen it yet.
Right, and I was going to try and see it before this show, but since we have to move things around, I'm seeing it tonight probably. So,
you know, I already told you this and I said this in the review, but there actually are things to enjoy about it. One of those things is Will Smith, another one is Viola Davis, and the third one is Margot Robbie.
But those we knew that before the movie came out. Like,
but I mean, it's possible they all would have not been good. Like, good actors have ended up looking bad due to editing, directing. But I actually think they come out looking pretty good, even though the movie the writing doesn't make sense. So hopefully you can go to the movie and then you can enjoy my review afterward. You can also read it beforehand if you want to know some stuff ahead of time. I don't spoil anything too
honestly, like, okay, first of all, it's weird that they released this movie that like it's supposed to be set up in this DC universe that they are creating like Avengers style, but they jumped right into Suicide Squad without really having these characters be introduced in movies first. And I think Suicide Squad as like a movie, even when they announced that they were doing it, is sort of an ambitious project because because the comics themselves are really sort of disjointed, because it's like we're just going to take a team of villains and then like in the next issue maybe a totally different team. So I don't know if that reflects in the movie at all.
It doesn't at all. The movie actually doesn't really have that much in common with the comics. Like Enchantress, I don't want to spoil it, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's not that much like the comics. They changed some things. Some things they changed were good. Like I know a lot of people were worried going into the movie that they were going to use the new 52 version of Harley Quinn, who has different backstory, and they basically don't. They basically use Harley Quinn's old backstory from the animated TV show.
Oh, so really?
Good. I mean, like.
I've been so curious how like Harley Quinn is going to wind up in this, because Harley Quinn has not had a live action appearance except for Birds of Prey. I really liked
Margot Robbie's version, and like that's saying a lot because the writing in this movie is a rough go, and I feel like she's doing the best she can with a lot of lines that are like really stupid, and she's just saying them in a way that I think is very Harley, and like I don't know, there's some great moments. Like I this isn't really a spoiler, but one of my favorite parts of the movie, and I didn't even mention this in the review because I just didn't get to it because it's like already a ridiculously long review, but like there's a part of the movie where she's really sad and she's by herself and she's sitting on this car by herself and she realizes that the rest of the Suicide Squad is about to show up and see her. And so you watch her in this moment like collect herself and like put on this mask of pretending to be happy.
Yeah.
And it's just like this brief 5-second moment of just Margot Robbie acting. And I was just like, okay,
that's perfectly
so
Harley, though.
Harley Quinn. Like I just really loved that moment. And I was like, I don't know if she came up with that or if the director came up with that, but it was just like a really brief moment of her being like, okay, time to go back to performing being Harley Quinn. And like, it was really subtle and great. You'll know it when you see it.
Yeah.
You'll like that part.
I love that because Harley, even though she is a villain, she's also not a villain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's not. And she's also like extremely wrapped up in this abusive relationship with the Joker. And like, that's why she does what she does. And I mean, there are a lot of reasons why that makes no fucking sense in this movie, because in this movie, the Joker is not a charismatic character, so it doesn't make any sense that Harley would be obsessed with him. And in the animated version, it kind of does. Like, it makes sense that maybe they'd be in an abusive relationship because, like, he runs hot and cold. Like, there's times when he's great to be around, and there's times when he's hitting her in the face.
Awkward and, like, just like that music video, the purple Lamborghini.
Oh my god, my mom watched this music video. Okay, I like how my mom is like a featured character on this show.
Well,
my mom was.
I mean, she was an inspiration.
So awkward, Maddie, and I'm like, I know, Mom. So there's like a purple Lamborghini song that's associated with this movie. That Rick Ross and Skrillex wrote and totally phoned in my opinion. And then Jared Leto's in the music video as the Joker. And it's like the most awkward music video I've ever seen in my life. And
it's also edited, like, you can tell that they shot, like, on multiple different days, which is normal, but normally you can't tell that. But, like, in this, it's like they literally have like edited really it so poorly.
It's tough. Like, it's so awkward. And, like, unfortunately, Jared Leto in Suicide Squad is also really awkward. I just found his portrayal to be so...
Not the Joker.
It was more like it was just really embarrassing. Like, I was just like, oh, you're working so hard, and this is really weird, and it feels like you don't have a good handle on what you're doing.
The Joker is a tough role to fill, and especially considering all the previous actors that have played him.
He has to follow up Heath Ledger, who's, like, I think one of the greatest portrayals.
And Mark Hamill, like, it's really difficult.
It is really difficult, and, like, I don't know. I don't envy anyone who has to take on that role, but I feel like Jared Leto, like, didn't know what to do and just was scared to admit that he didn't know what to do. So he just kind of was
I don't know. It sounds like there's not a lot of good direction in that film. And unless you're a really good actor that's willing to work with the crap you got, like Margot Robbie and Will Smith did, like, I think.
And Viola Davis is great too, by the way. Yeah. I think that, like, actors who went in and were already like, I know how I want to play my character and I'm just going to do it the way I want to do it. I think they were fine, but it seemed like everybody else was kind of like, I don't really know what you want me to do. And it's, like, really coming across in their performance, which was kind of sad to watch.
I have a couple questions before we move on. One is, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but is Katana good or bad in this?
I mean, do you want me to tell you?
Is she like I sort of got the impression that she's there as, like...
I could just tell you whether the actress is good.
No, I mean, like... I guess I'll just watch it.
Yeah, you should probably watch it. That doesn't really get answered satisfactorily because, I mean, it does, but that part of it does, but she's not in the movie as much as I wanted her to be. I'll say that.
Because she's, like traditionally not a villain, so I was like...
Okay, I'll just spoil that for you then. She's not bad at the beginning at all. She, like, eventually sympathizes with the villain characters because the audience is supposed to also. But when it starts out, she's like a good guy.
Like, sort of like... contingency plan. That's what I think she might be.
It's not even that well defined.
Okay, never mind.
The movie doesn't really have much
my
of a plot
question
to
was
speak
going to
of.
be, is Amanda Waller great? Because she's a very favorite character of mine.
I mean, Viola Davis is great, but the characterization of Amanda Waller in this movie makes decisions that make no sense, which is not what Amanda Waller would do. So
no, it's not. She's supposed to be like Batman.
In this movie, I don't know. I feel like they write her as not being as smart as I feel like Amanda Waller is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, it almost works because Viola Davis is so great, but when you actually think about what the character's doing in the movie, you're like, this makes no sense. Why are you doing this? Why are you taking these actions and making these decisions? It's just dumb. I feel like the movie needed another pass in editing, but I already got multiple passes in editing, and I feel really bad for the creative team.
There were too many. You know what? There were too many characters in it already.
It's not even that. I think that, like, they probably had to re-edit it multiple times because there are just too many parts of the movie that didn't work because it's really hard to make a movie like this. And I think it was just too hard. And I don't even really blame them for fucking it up. I'm not, like, mad at them, you know? Like, I'm like, you guys tried it. You took a lot of risks. That's cool. You fucked up, though.
Yeah. Like, I mean, well, I'll see it. I'll tweet about it. Maybe I'll live tweet if there's nobody in the theater, you know. I've become a fan of seeing movies when nobody else is there.
It's pretty cool. That's the Mary Ellen way to go about it. Although I did make her go see
pretty great,
Suicide Squad with me.
So, you know.
She is pretty great.
So other news in terms of superheroes is that there were a whole bunch of trailers that came out this week, which we don't need to get into a lot about, but Luke Cage and Doctor Strange.
The trailer came out was for Luke Cage. That was awesome. I haven't seen the new Doctor Strange trailer because I just don't care.
It's more of the same stuff, but I've we don't need to talk about it, but you and I both know that Doctor Strange's like original story is like super racist.
Yeah, I know. We talked about this on
but
chat
I love
the other
Doctor
day.
Strange, so like
I mean, I do like the character, and like, I mean, I've talked before about rereading old Marvel comics, and I really like Doctor Strange's arcs. There's some great Doctor Strange stories out there. I don't know why they're doing an origin story for him. That's exactly what I wouldn't do if I were making a Doctor Strange
they would have to change
movie.
some things, but it doesn't look like
I would probably just skip over it, honestly, because I'd just be like, I don't want to worry about. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd just be like, let's not worry about how he got his powers. Let's just tell a different story about him. But whatever, it's already too late.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, I cannot remember this right now. And Ben would, if he hears me, maybe he'll text me. But there was like a movie that came out in like the 90s that was supposed to be a Doctor Strange movie, but it's not because there was some sort of like rights over it.
Rights? Oh,
yeah. But they had already written the script, so they still shot it anyway and just changed the names. And it's actually a really great film.
Oh, neat.
And probably better than the one that you're gonna see. So there's that.
Maybe we can do that for a throwback at some point.
Luke Cage looks great. I hope there's more Misty Knight. I love Misty Knight.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They also announced that like Miss Marvel, like young Miss Marvel, is going to be in the new Avengers cartoon, which makes me excited because I love the new Miss Marvel. I think she's great.
She's so great. I love her. That's awesome. I know she's also was going to be in some Lego game, so they're finally putting her in some more things. I'm hoping that means that she'll be in a live action movie of her own someday soon.
Yeah, she's sort of like X-Men-y. Like that's the type of character she is, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
She's also
a teen. She's a rad
teen.
She is.
She's a crazy teenager.
Uh-huh.
And then this is not Marvel, but there was a trailer that came out yesterday for the last fan fiction Resident Evil movie.
Yeah, these aren't actually fan fiction, but they are fan fiction.
I mean, they basically are. It's like the director just decided to write a fan fiction and then film it. Like I saw the trailer for the movie. They're like, and now we're going to go back to Raccoon City and crawl through like the original Umbrella Corporation sets from the first movie. And I was like, why are you doing this? Like,
how do they still have money to make these? It's
because
really
I mean,
incredible.
It has a huge fan. The Resident Evil fan base really is popular. Crazy.
I don't understand it, but I know that it is a thing.
It's like, and it's not even like people that don't like the games. It's the people who like the games, but they also like the movie, even though they don't have anything to do with each other.
Other than like having some of the same names and
yeah, that's about it. And zombies occasionally.
Costumes. Like the costumes are the same sometimes. Like Valentine is like wearing the same thing, but then Claire Redfield isn't. And
yeah, Claire Redfield is actually wearing her outfit from Revelations 2, but she doesn't have her hair in a ponytail still. I don't know why they will not do that, but whatever.
Maybe the actress thinks her hair doesn't look good in her ponytail.
No, it's like, who's that actress? It's oh my god, I'm blanking on her name, but she's somebody I love.
And she normally wears a ponytail all the time.
Oh yeah, totally.
Well, anyway, okay. Do we want to? What do we want to do next? I'll just say this quickly because I'm really mad about it. Apparently, Ghostbusters isn't making enough money to get a sequel. If you didn't see Ghostbusters yet, you should really just go see it because it's so funny and good. And if it doesn't get a sequel, then fine. But you should see it. Like, what's going on? It's the greatest movie that came out this summer in my book.
I mean, Holtzman is in it.
I really loved it. And like, I liked it better than Star Trek. I liked it better than X-Men Apocalypse. I definitely liked it better than Suicide Squad. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And I saw it twice. Like, I don't know what more I can tell you here. Please go see it.
Because we know why it didn't do well. And you can
I know,
but on the internet for that, so.
Just want people to go to it if they have any reservations.
Go see it. Just go see
check it out. Like, go to a matinee. It's fine. Just go check it out. Okay, that's it. That's all I have to say about that. And do you want to talk about Pokemon Go's updates? I did play it last night because I went running last night, so I played it. But
yeah, sure. I can say the Pokemon Go updates. Well, I didn't like them at first because their tracking system has gotten really ridiculous. But
I haven't really noticed those changes though yet. Maybe they haven't been rolled out for me yet.
They've made it harder for you to catch Pokemon, which is because they want you to buy Pokeballs, but like that's not gonna work for this company that's already making money off of like billions of people logging in with their Gmail accounts and giving them their information. So they shouldn't be also upselling their fucking Pokeballs, in my opinion. But they did apparently sneak attack a bunch of users with this sort of like trial run on a new tracking system where like you look at a nearby Pokemon and it will tell you which stop it's near. So people that are trial running right now that got the opportunity to do this are like, it's really fucking great. And they've uploaded videos and it's not available for everyone yet, but probably on the next update. And I'm really excited about it. It makes me really want to get into it because you click on it and it literally shows you on a map where to go, as opposed to be like, it could be in like a 3-mile radius. Who knows? Like,
yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And it sounds like it might assuage some of the upsetness about the fact that the PokeVision apps and some of the other apps that were letting people hack Pokemon Go or cheat, basically, not hack, but cheat.
And also sort of like it will allow people to not be like trespassing or breaking into people's yards to get Pokemon when they'll be like, oh, I see that it's near this stop, because they're always near like a monument. So we'll get them to go to the other monuments quicker and get them out of people's backyards. So
yeah, that's true too. That's a good idea. And
they should have jumped on it a long time ago, but whatever. This whole thing has been a very
like don't get too worried about stuff like the Pokeballs. Like that's just balancing. Like there will be other updates. I'm sure they're going to continue to tweak that.
I've never paid for a free-to-play game. I know people will, and I never do it because I'm like, I will be patient and wait until I can just get there, because that's the trick to those free-to-play games, is that they're just trying to get you to pay to like get
No, I know, but like the people who want to pay will pay, and I'm sure Pokemon Go is making plenty of money from those people already, and like I don't think they need to be squeezing our wallets, at least hopefully not. I don't intend to spend any money on Pokemon Go, and I don't have any money.
So. And I'm sure we'll talk about it when they update again, because like Pokemon Go is still relevant. So it's crazy.
It's really bonkers how long it's been relevant.
We didn't know. Like, I felt like maybe it was going to fall off the rails with the latest update, but then they immediately were like, no, we're fixing it with something even better. And I think there's rumors they're going to be adding more Pokemon soon. So
yeah, and they've been talking about adding in breeding mechanics, which is one of the things that we predicted that they would add.
Yeah, and probably eventually like battling. So
they're already talking about adding those things in. Like I'm telling you, they are going to keep adding stuff. They have to, or else it's
Pokemon essentially is like one of those things that like I keep on saying this, in the 90s, like we never knew it was going to fucking skyrocket to the point it is right now, or like it's like something that's bigger than Mario at this point. So I don't know.
Is that really true?
Well, right now, because Pokemon Go itself has surpassed pretty much every single app ever. It's got more downloads than anything ever on the phone. That's crazy.
That is crazy. Okay, well, Pokemon's taking over the world, and that seems fine. All right, so do we want to do the throwback next?
Sure. Yeah, okay. We can do that, and then we have reader mail, and that's it. So
okay.
Throwback time, guys. Back to the 90s again, where we just were talking about Pokemon. But last week,
where we still live in the 90s.
Last week, we were talking about Daria briefly, and Maddy was like, let's do it as a throwback. And I was immediately like, what are we going to do? Say it's great?
Like,
it's on par for Daria, actually.
Weeks and weeks ago, I was like, Ryan, let's do Daria for the throwback on Insomniacs. And Ryan was like, I just don't even see what we could possibly have to say about it. And I'm like, okay, well,
but like not in a bad way. I meant it as like, it's just the perfect show. The end.
I mean, I think that there are probably a lot of people watching this show who are a little younger than us who didn't watch it when they were kids.
I don't even know what Daria is.
I didn't watch it when I was a kid, and I said this last week, but like I say this every freaking week, but like TV was not watched in my household, so I did not watch Daria.
But you watched it like when you were older, right? And you really liked it?
I watched it when I was an adult, and I think it's really great. I think it holds up really well. It's funny that Daria was originally a Beavis and Butthead character and like became part of her own completely
same with like King of the Hill, same idea.
It's just funny because like I don't even associate her with that show or that world, but like supposedly she's in it. But her show is very different. I mean, we talked a little bit last week about like some of the episodes that I remembered, but there's so much stuff that happens. Like it's such a quintessential 90s show, and it's about like the disaffected grunge era, that
which is something that you and I are very involved with. So
yeah, and like it's sort of like a little piece of history. It's like a very cool artifact of its time that explains a lot of the attitudes that eventually became millennial attitudes after the recession,
Right.
and like
And still is.
why those things exist, and like, you know, that rebellious thing. I mean, all that stuff is annoying.
We're
But
back there now, though, because we essentially have been in a really long fucking recession again.
yeah, but during the 90s, everything, like everybody had money. So
Yeah.
I think that sort of ended up causing some of the rebellious things, because people were like, okay, so things seem really good, but what do we really want? And
Well, and the way that Daria relates. Okay, first of all, I mean, Daria, I guess we should explain, is about a teenage girl in high school that sort of is goth, and with her goth best friend, essentially. I wouldn't say goth is correct. I would say grunge is more correct, because there is a goth character on there. But I mean, dealing with like being in high school and like realizing that sort of like everything around her is bullshit, like everything, including like the stereotypical like athletes and cheerleaders and like the really smart girl and like, you know, all that stuff, like the good guy and all that stuff, and her and her best friend Jane being like, fuck these assholes. Like, that's, I mean, essentially their life. And they're like, anywhere they go, whether it's they go to the mall or go to some business, or like when Daria's sister, who's always trying to like
be the perfect one,
who actually is a really, like, she seems super annoying, but she actually, her sister is somebody with a lot of depth to her, because even though she's being popular, her sister sees straight through the bullshit of like all the people that she's popular with, and is also sort of bold enough to say what she's thinking. You know,
that's sort of her arc on the show. And like, I think that the thing that people think is annoying about the 90s now retroactively is something that Daria was playing straight at the time, which is overplayed now, but at the time it was like revolutionary for Daria to be walking around and being like, everything is a performance, like social roles, gender expectations, like the way that everyone acts in this school, and also the way that institutions are at stores, and like the way that kids are treated. Like, it's all a performance, it's all manufactured, you're being sold something. Like that disaffected, like she's setting herself apart and commenting on society as she sees it. Like, this is a weird comparison, but like I've been rewatching a bunch of Gilmore Girls, and like there's a lot of similarities there with like how Lorelai and Rory sort of comment on the society around them, and like that I think is a commentary on a precedent that Daria was already setting. With like,
I think Daria's a little bit more aggressive.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But like, there's definitely times in Gilmore Girls when like a character is sarcastically commenting on something that's happening to them, and like in the moment, which no one really does. Because
I agree. And you know, I watched Daria when I was younger, but I definitely like rewatching it as an adult and watching all the episodes. It's like Daria was like my life, like not the show, but like my actual real life in high school, because the way that she interacted with everyone back then is sort of like how I really was at that same age. And
I think a lot of people felt that way. And it like, was neat that there was a show that existed like that like spoke to teens really directly and was like, I get that you think all this is fake. It is fake.
I mean, I still am that way. So, I mean, like, there's that.
It's like the version of Catcher in the Rye that I can actually stand to watch.
Well, we don't need to talk. Catcher in the Rye needs to go away. Even though, like, I loved it as a kid, but, like, when you read it as an adult, you're like, this fucking kid, dude.
I know. But Daria, I actually don't have that experience. Like, Daria, I feel like
Daria has some valid points to it. So.
This is all bullshit, and like it is a performance. But it's also interesting because even though Daria is acknowledging that these things are a performance and that institutions are just telling you what to think, and you should be aware of that and try to think what you want to think if you can, which you can't. She's not being judgmental of people for being part of the machine per se. Like, she'll gently mock people, but like, unlike Holden Caulfield, she isn't like, I reject all of this. All of these people are just phonies and assholes and I hate them. She instead kind of is like sometimes you have to be part of the performance in order to like survive. I
Right.
mean, I think that's part of the show in a way that isn't
But she'll
necessarily
still be
true.
bitter and sarcastic while she's part of it. You know what I mean? She's
Yeah, but like there's
and she'll
definitely
say the
episodes
thing
when
that
Daria is like, I'm gonna try to be normal. Like that's an arc that happens sometimes where she'll be like, I'll try to fit in for a little while and see if I can do it, and she'll like try different groups. I mean, like those are repeated storylines that come up where she keeps kind of trying to be like, okay, like I'll play along with this performance for a while.
there's
And
also
like,
times
see
when
if I
she
can do it.
like realizes that she's too bitter. Like one of the episodes I really liked is that there was this guy that like comes to their school and like is supposed to be this great athlete, and her and Jane are making fun of him, and she's sort of like, I hope he dies, haha. But then he actually does like 2 seconds later. And then so like throughout the episode, everybody's coming to Daria and they're all grieving, and they're like, Daria, how do you just deal with it every day? Like they're like, Daria, you seem to be like you know,
Really
like
strong and
really strong, and like you're always somebody that is just like sort of like death anyway. And Daria's like, why is everybody coming to me? And she keeps on talking to Jane, and Jane keeps on avoiding her. And then at the end of the episode, like her and Jane talk to each other, and Jane's like, dude, you need to like, because Jane's also like super goth, but Jane's like, you need to like not always be an asshole, because like it's not okay. Somebody just died, and that's fucked up, and it's fucked up that you're not like showing or feeling anything, and that like you're just being mad that everybody's grieving. And so, you know, like I think that's important too, is that like through all the bullshit of her being mad and angry all the time, there's times where like, you know, she realizes that she needs to rein it back also, you know, like, and
yeah, I can
sort
like
of
super relate to that too. Like even now, but especially when I was in high school, when I most would have needed Daria but hadn't watched it yet. Because like there were so many times when I would not know how to react to something, and I would just make a sarcastic quip because
and
I was upset or uncomfortable.
I mean, and
but
that's
I
sort of what
I
still
didn't
do,
know how
like,
to like process my emotions like an adult yet. And I
Yeah.
think I'm like better now than I was when I was 15 for sure.
Me too.
15, I was just an asshole to people because I didn't know how to act. Do you know what I mean?
So
And, like,
instead we would just scream about things. So
or I would just be really like bitingly sarcastic about stuff when it was too much. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
No,
Like
I do.
because I was actually just really upset. And like things would happen. Like I remember after 9/11, I was like, I didn't know how to process it. And I remember like being very sarcastic about it because I didn't understand the weight of what had happened. And I
Mhm.
remember my friends being mad at me and being like, you don't get to be sarcastic about this. This is real and this really happened.
was
And
in
even
the
at the
same place, though.
time,
'Cause-
I was like,
because
I
you
don't
and
get
me
it. But I
were
had
both that
no
way.
concept of like death or like what had occurred at all.
Right, and that's
until
and my mom
the
was like
months
mad about it at the
following.
time too. She was like, "You need to like realize that we're like sort of at war now." And I was like, "Well," and like I remember Katie being really mad at you and me for being like really so nonchalant about it when it was happening, because you and I were just so
I mean, I hadn't had anybody close to me who had died, who was my age at that time. So, like, I really couldn't even relate to it. So, but after 9/11, like, a lot of things changed in our society, fucking obviously. So, like, I think that was sort of the start of the turning point post Daria for
Yeah.
like, society. But, like, I think that was also the moment when I was like, wow, I really don't know how to react to things, and like I'm not behaving appropriately. Like there were definitely some moments when I kind of realized that, and like realized I needed to grow the fuck up and like understand that things were happening around me that were real.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know.
You know what's sort of the irony about that show now?
What, Daria?
Daria and Jane, like, you know what happens to them in the future once when the show ends? They get a talk show together.
Yay! So anyway, we're Daria and Jane.
We
Do
are.
you get it? Do you get it?
You can guess which one's which. But yeah, it's a great show, and it reflects. It's like one of those shows that I will go and watch and be like, that was my life then, and I still think back on it and relate completely to it, and I get it. So
Okay, let's do reader mail.
let's do that. Oh, I wanted to say real quick. There was that one time I made Ben watch an episode because he hadn't watched it, and he goes, "I don't get it. This was just all my friends in high school."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, probably."
It's like, yeah, there's nothing to get.
All right. So yes, reader mail. I posted out today that or yesterday that we're looking for. We're trying to get prompts to you guys to sort of email us, and the thing that we asked for is your favorite video game soundtracks, because I had been going through my Twitter feed, and my friend Alex posted this thing where he was like, favorite Sonic song, favorite Mario song, and then I was thinking about it, because all the Sonic the Hedgehog games have like really great soundtracks.
Really good soundtracks, yeah.
And then I was like, well, what's my favorite soundtracks? Because I listen to a lot of video game music as opposed to like real music, and I know you do too.
Well, I think that's kind of a bogus dichotomy that you're setting up here.
We do listen to a lot of video game music, though.
Yes, but it is real music. Whatever.
Oh, that's what you were saying? Okay.
Yeah. Like, what do you mean? Of course it's real music.
I guess before I read the emails, I do want to say that I really love Sonic the Hedgehog music, but Skyrim has Skyrim's so good.
Skyrim. Okay.
I love Skyrim soundtrack.
Is that your official favorite?
Yeah, because even though like stuff like Zelda music that has a strong place in my heart, and like other video game soundtracks that I'll hum along to, I mean, I feel like Skyrim's actually just beautiful all the way around because Jeremy Soule is just a beautiful musician. So, I know you're gonna say Metroid, so
I already said it earlier. So
I know. I mean, there's that.
Yeah.
But so anyway, James emailed us and he said, "Hey guys, I saw a tweet from Ryan by Ryan saying to tell you my favorite video game soundtrack, and it is the Undertale soundtrack." And he included 2 links, which
the Undertale soundtrack is really great. There's a lot that's incredible about Undertale. It's not really my thing in terms of genre, but like the fact that the guy who made it wrote all the music for it and did, as far as I know, every other aspect of the game is pretty impressive.
He was like it was like his tribute to Earthbound, essentially, which also has great soundtrack, by the way.
It does, but like anybody who writes music and can make a game and do art and write, all of those things put together is like very impressive.
It's like Maddie's dream job right there.
I mean, I guess so, but I'd probably be happy with just writing music that's as good as the music in that game. I like to keep my goals small.
I'll design the game and you can write the music. How does that sound?
Okay. What is it? Is it an Earthbound tribute? Let's just copy it.
Yeah, let's just copy all of Undertale. But he did include 2 links to the songs Asgore and Home. And I have not played Undertale yet. I really need to, but I'm really bad about making time to do things. But I have listened to all the music and it's really amazing. And
it is great.
I can include these links, into the description afterwards. But you guys should go listen to them and any Undertale music, to be honest, and the Mother series.
Yeah, even if you don't really think that Undertale's your thing in terms of gameplay, I think you'll probably still really enjoy the soundtrack because it's rad.
It is. And then Taylor also emailed us and says, "Hi, Maddy and Ryan. My boyfriend and I are about to start up another tabletop role-playing campaign with some other friends." Oh, this isn't a video game thing, but we'll read it anyway. The last one was a lot of fun, but some of our other players weren't quite sure how to get into character. I know that once my friends settle into it, they'll have a lot of fun, but I don't know how to guide them through those first steps without making acting feel unnatural to them. As someone with a parody video and convention experience, what are some good first steps to get into character and have fun with it? How have you helped amateur performers feel comfortable doing something a little goofy? This is a good question for us because we have had to train people on stage to do that, and it's not easy.
It's not, although I think the situations where we've had to do it have been more pressing because we've had to be like, listen, you have to stay in character the entire time. And we've also been in situations where we had to be in character for an entire day walking around a con.
I think also
talking to people.
But you know what? I think the more important part is that like we've worked with people like our friends who did GENO when they first worked with us in Demon and D2, and a lot of them had never done anything like that when we were teenagers, right? Mm-hmm. And going back to it now, like we asked Steph to play Commander Shay and GENO, and she's not normally an actor or comfortable with doing it usually. We're just like, okay, so here's the character you got to do, but like we make it about us having fun as opposed to like being in character. And like she rolls right into it. She felt comfortable with it when we got going. And it's also like just being like, if you and me were in charge of something, like if we were in charge of role play, you and I would just go right into character, but also make sure to make the people feel comfortable while we're doing it. So like while we're constantly in character, we're also like trying to prompt the other person to go, if that makes any sense.
I think
they realize once when you're doing it, and like it's not going to be weird if everybody else is doing it. You know what I mean? It's sort of like a group mentality type of thing.
I also think that like with beginner role players, it's okay if they're not completely in character yet, and if they're just trying it out. Like I think at first the kinds of things that people do are be like, okay, so my character says this, and eventually after they've played a while, they're going to stop doing that, and they're going to start automatically reacting by being like, oh, well, take out my sword and do such and such. Like they're just going to start automatically saying I to refer to their character. That
Right.
will happen naturally. And like, I don't think there's anything you can do to make them do that so much as just positively reward them when those things happen by playing along with them and like yes-anding them. I assume you're the dungeon master. I don't know.
Right. And also, like, I think writing down like a backstory for your character as like you're playing along also helps, because I remember the first time I did a role play like that, I was super awkward about it. I was like, this is
Yeah,
really, to
same.
me, the first time I did one, it was like over 10 years ago before I did a lot of acting. I was like, this is super weird to me. But what ended up happening is as they were going along, I was just sort of like jotting notes down and notes for my character. And then unconsciously, like more like subconsciously, I started acting like that character. But it was only because I had been sitting there writing it. And I'm somebody who's a writer first before an actor. So that always helps me to sort of like write out what the motivations of a character is. And then it comes to me naturally after that.
But
If
that's
that
not
makes
going
any
to work
sense.
for everyone.
No,
So
but
just
it's a suggestion.
broadly speaking, like different people will get comfortable with it in different ways. And there might still be friends of yours who are just never comfortable with it. And that's okay too. Like there's going to be the people there who are like, I don't like this. Like
That's fine, and it's
mean,
fair.
that's cool too. And like there will also be people who are like, I love getting a character. Like I think that a good dungeon master is somebody who realizes that some people like that and some
And
people
so,
don't,
and
and
they
like
also like
finds
know
a
who's
way
uncomfortable, yeah, and like
to
figures it
like
out.
navigate those social dynamics. And it'll kind of happen naturally if you act like it's not weird. Like you're sort of like hosting a party, you know what I mean? Like you're the one who's making everyone feel comfortable. You're refilling the drinks. But like in this case, it's a metaphor for you being like, oh, you want lemonade, but you want Coca-Cola? Okay, I'll cater to you and I'll cater to you, like depending on who wants to be in character and who doesn't, you
That
know?
was like the master of metaphors right there, Maddie. That was good writing from Maddie Myers right there.
What's up? I don't know. I always personally think that like being a dungeon master is like the way cooler gig than having to just be a character.
I mean,
That's
I
just
don't play a lot of role play, so I've never really been into it. Not because I don't find it interesting. It's just like one of those things that's like, all right, I
I'm
gotta
not that
sit down
into
and
it
do this thing
either,
that's
but
not work for a long time.
well, it is work. I mean, of course, naturally, like you would probably like this too. I like the one where you get to make up the story yourself and be in charge of everything.
Okay, I
That's
mean, for
fun
far,
to
maybe I should
me.
just be the dungeon master. Maybe that's what I should have done.
You probably would like that. But like being a character, I'm always like, man, I don't know what's happening. And that other person over there behind the screen does. That's annoying.
Oh, like the Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
All right,
anyway.
we have another email from Quinn Stevens. Uh,
Hi, Quinn.
yeah, I know, and I can think of. Blah, blah, blah. It says, I can think of a lot of great ones, but one that really sticks with me is the Bastion soundtrack, partly because I can't seem to classify it. How would you describe it? Is there an existing subgenre of music it's drawing from? I really want to hear more music like it, but Pandora and Spotify have been no help so far. Cheers. Okay, he messaged me on Twitter first and was like, Bastion. I'm like, no, email it. It's like,
I think that was actually a different person because I know my friend Dennis messaged us to be like the
oh,
Bastion
yeah,
soundtrack. So actually, we just got 2 votes for the Bastion soundtrack.
that's right. Oh my God. That's my bad for thinking that it was the same person.
It's okay.
Wow.
It's fair to think that. It's actually just that Bastion is really popular and multiple people told us they liked it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's the Transistor soundtrack. No, I mean, like it's different game by the same people. I don't know. I actually don't know that how you would find a soundtrack that's similar to the Bastion soundtrack. I guess you could just kind of like check out some orchestras.
I'm sure if I listened to it more extensively, because it is a good soundtrack, but I don't listen to it that often, that I could probably relate it to a different one. So how about I get back to you on that and I'll tweet about it later.
Okay, that's your homework assignment.
It is my homework assignment. Now we have one more that's just says, I only need one track, and it's just the Super Mario Brothers 2 Overworld theme, which I 100% agree with. I love that song. I love Super Mario 2, and I love that song. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do, yeah. I like all the songs in that game.
Yeah, that one. That was a huge part of my childhood, was that game. So
yeah.
Marilyn also wrote into us, just FYI.
Okay, do you want to read that?
Yeah, she's still alive. She says, "Hello, Insomniacs in the morning. Your co-host, Maddie Myers, recently told me we were going to see a good movie. And then when I arrived at the theater, I realized she had taken me to see a very bad movie called Suicide Squad. I am suing her for damages and emotional distress. My lawyers will be in touch. This isn't personal. It's mostly because I'm homeless, and also Suicide Squad ruined my life. Are you guys still playing Pokemon Go? Because it stopped being fun for me, and I feel like a traitor. Also, hurry up and watch Stranger Things already. Love, Jeb Bush."
That's fair. Okay, I watched the first 2 episodes of Stranger Things, so
I'm on episode 4, and we want to talk about Reddit really badly on here, but we want to finish it first. And this is one of those shows that like has to be in perfect viewing conditions for me, so I have to watch it in the middle of the night with like surround sound, like headphones on. So that's why it's taking so long. I have to watch it in the middle
of the day with the volume turned all the way down and the subtitles on and it's light out.
I like how we have to watch this in like super opposite ways. I'm like, I need this to be as terrifying and as immersed in the experience as possible. And Maddie's like, I want to see it from the corner of my eye.
You enjoy being scared.
It's not scary to me, though. I don't find it a very scary thing.
I
find it
you
beautiful.
Watch so many scary things that you're completely desensitized to scary things. Like,
all right, we can talk about this later, but let's do Sky's recipe and joke corner and then close out.
Okay.
So first of all, she says, "Okay, so today I thought I tried something that sounded really adult and fancy, but it is actually just about as easy as SpaghettiOs. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but it's either pancetta or pancetta and Brussels sprouts linguine." It's probably pancetta. I'm going to guess that.
Pancetta, but I'm now realizing I don't think I've ever heard somebody say that aloud.
Yeah, but I would assume it is because that sounds Italian.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
You need half a pound of linguine, kosher salt, freshly ground black pepper, 6 ounces of unsliced pancetta, or 6 strips of thick cut bacon, or 6 bacon strips if you make this for a dog. Dogs will not know it's not bacon. 1 medium sweet onion, 1 pound of Brussels sprouts, 2 cloves of garlic, 1/3 of sea dry white wine. I don't know what sea dry means. I'm not that. Oh, maybe it's supposed to be like a different thing. And then 3 ounces of Parmesan. Cook pasta in salted water per directions. Take 1 cup water before draining. This is called reserving. While pasta is cooking, saute pancetta and bacon and onion in skillet over medium heat, stirring occasionally until pancetta is brown and onion is caramelized. This will take about 10 minutes. Add Brussels sprouts and garlic and saute, stirring until leaves are bright green, about 2 minutes. Stir in wine, scraping down brown breads, add pasta, Parmesan, and 1/2 to 3/4 cups of the reserved water until Parmesan is creamy and noodles are well coated. Season with salt and pepper. Serve it immediately sprinkled with Parmesan. If you're making this for someone seriously trying to bulk up, top it with a fried egg and get cut. Okay. Easy as SpaghettiOs. No, Sky. That's like a lot of cooking for Ryan Pagella.
Sounded really delicious, though.
It really did, actually, though. And then joke time. Why was the editing so weird for Suicide Squad? The movie was generated and we only got I'm reading this wrong. We only got I'm still reading it wrong. we got only one of 18 quadrillion possible edits of Jared Leto being a horrible actor. Which is what I was laughing at, and that I couldn't fucking read the joke.
That's completely true, though.
I don't even know if that's a joke. It's just like sort of like a fact.
Yeah.
And then she says, pre-order bonus joke. Is it just me, or is this phrase and the idea of moisture wicking underwear becoming 1,000 times more common these days? I have some and it's actually great, but it's just odd it's sounding right. Moisture wicking. I wish Orson Welles were still around and doing podcasts so I could hear him reading a pitch for moisture wicking underwear. That's dirty.
It wicks your moisture.
Wicks it away. Oh my God. So yes, sorry, Scott, for botching your joke. I was laughing at the Jared Leto thing because I did that thing where I jumped ahead, where I like looked over and saw the end and laughed, and then couldn't read any of the words. So that just happened.
Okay. Do you have a recipe this week? Because you literally wrote Subway IDK down for your recipe in the show notes.
Wait, nobody thought about it. And legitimately, like, if you want like a vegetarian sandwich and you're not vegan, and you're willing to eat cheese, I'm all about cheese sandwiches. So a lot of the time what I do is I will get some really nice fancy cheese, like a sharp New York cheddar or something like that, or whatever. Like Ben likes to pick up a lot of like fancy cheeses, slice that up and put it between 2 pieces of bread with mayo, fresh spinach, and also a little lettuce and some tomato. And like, that is my go-to sandwich, and it's fucking delicious, and I love it at the beach. That's it. Better than Subway.
Cool.
Subway IDK.
Okay. I don't have anything fancy this week. I have a bunch of like miscellaneous leftovers. I talked about tacos last week. I got to eat my taco leftovers all week. My mom gave me some leftovers.
Okay. What's your favorite sandwich?
Okay. I don't know. Grilled cheese. I don't know. I was just
Grilled
gonna
cheese
say
is really good too.
I have a leftover avocado still, and like I'm probably just gonna whip up some guacamole later today. I don't know if you make guacamole for yourself or if you like it, but
I
like
love guacamole, but I do not have the patience to make it, so I just buy it in a can,
I mean,
or a bottle or whatever.
I have half of an avocado. I have some onion. I could use some tomatoes if I managed to go buy some, but like it's really easy to make guacamole if you only have 3 ingredients. Like you don't need to put all of that stuff in it. Like you can just put avocado and like salt, pepper, lemon juice, and cumin.
Sorry, every single say salt and pepper.
The recipe that I usually use, if you want to Google it, is the Alton Brown guacamole recipe, which has 1 trillion ingredients. But like really the only ones that you need to pay attention to are the spices that he puts in. He adds in like a bunch of vegetables too, which is delicious. I mean, you can definitely add in like green peppers, red peppers, like all that stuff. It's really good if you make the recipe exactly as he does. But really just the spices and the proportions are what I use that recipe for. And so you can make different sizes and different amounts. So yeah, that recipe is really good, and I've made it a bunch in the past, and I'm probably going to make it later today. That's it.
That sounds delicious, and now I want guacamole. There we go. Guacamole. Awesome. We probably should go.
Yeah, Italian dish, guacamole.
Guacamole, the Mexican dish.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Email us at insomniacsinthemorning@gmail.com if you want us to answer your questions on the air.
And continue to answer our prompts, because we really love that you guys are sending in your answers to the questions. And I think some of you are also posting them on the YouTube page, like while you're watching us live. But I don't see that because the chat function and the comment section function does not work with Google Hangouts for whatever reason. So I don't see it until afterwards. And if you're leaving it there, I will respond after we're done. But always email us or tweet at us, because I will instantly see those things first.
And by the way, you can tweet at us. There's an Atomic Blue Productions Twitter account that you can tweet to, but also there's me and Ryan individually. I'm Mitty Myers, and Ryan's Dr. Yoshi 2 on Twitter.
Yeah, I could rebrand myself like you did. But also, no, I think it's a little weird that I have a doctor in there, and I'm definitely not one. But we won't get into that.
You're also not Yoshi, and you're not the number 2. So
you don't know that if I'm a Yoshi or not.
That's a good
point. Disappear and be replaced by Yoshi all along. Anyway, so follow our main channel, Atomic Blue Productions on YouTube, and that's where GENO will be going, along with all this other stuff that I have sitting here waiting to edit when we're done with GENO. And like, subscribe there, subscribe to this channel, Insomniacs, and also, if you want to find more of our stuff at Atomic Blue Productions, go on Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, or Facebook. It's everywhere. Taking over the world. And also you can get
you like. We got it.
And there's also an audio only podcast of the show, which quite frankly, in my opinion, is better than whatever Google Hangouts doesn't fuck up.
Yeah, you can like actually hear us talking.
Yeah, and like we're crisper and clearer, and you can download it on iTunes. And if you're not an iTunes user like me, you can download it straight from the Atomic Blue Productions website, and everything is listed there.
Mm-hmm. atomicblueproductions.com, and you'll find everything that we just told you about very easily.
Yes,
okay, that's it. We did it.
We did it. Hooray.
Okay, bye.
I turned into a Yoshi.
Oh my gosh. It's so unexpected.
Shit.